Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh, coming up in the next hour. India slams Pakistan Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif at the UNGA for glorifying terrorism, reiterates that India will make no distinction between terrorists and their sponsors.
This assembly witnessed absurd theatrics in the morning from the Prime Minister of Pakistan, who once again glorified terrorism that is so central to their foreign policy.
India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar calls for adherence to international law at BRICS foreign ministers meet in New York to address UN General Assembly today. UN sanctions on Iran loom after UN Security Council rejects last-ditch effort to delay reimposition of sanctions over its nuclear program. And in sports, World Parathletics Championship kicks off in New Delhi on Saturday. Sumit Antil and Preeti Pal set to lead India's challenge. India dismissed Pakistan Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif's remarks at the UN General Assembly as absurd theatrics, recalling that Islamabad had pleaded for ceasefire during Operation Sindoor. Exercising the right of reply of India on Pakistan Prime Minister's speech, First Secretary in India's permanent mission to the UN, Petal Gehlot, rejected Pakistan Prime Minister's account of the conflict, noting that Pakistan's threats ended only after Indian forces struck multiple Pakistani bases on 10th of May.
The Prime Minister of Pakistan also advanced a bizarre account of the recent conflict with India. The record on this matter is clear. Till 9th May, Pakistan was threatening more attacks on India. But on 10th May, its military pleaded with us directly for a cessation to the fighting. The intervening event was the destruction caused to multiple Pakistani air bases by Indian forces. The pictures of that damage are, of course, publicly accessible. If destroyed runways and burnt out hangars look like victory, as the Prime Minister claimed, Pakistan is welcome to enjoy it.
India firmly condemned Pakistan, saying it has made terrorism and glorification of terrorists an essential part of its foreign policy. The Indian envoy recalled that Pakistan had blocked accountability for a Pakistani-sponsored terror outfit earlier this year at the UN Security Council.
This is the very same Pakistan which, at the UN Security Council on 25th April 2025, shielded the resistance front, a Pakistani-sponsored terror outfit, from the responsibility of carrying out the barbaric massacre of tourists in the Indian Union territory of Jammu and Kashmir. Mr. President, a country long steeped in the tradition of deploying and exporting terrorism has no shame in advancing the most ludicrous narratives to that end.
India's representative exposed the lies of Pakistan Prime Minister and suggested that if Pakistan is actually serious about fighting terror, it should hand over all terrorists to India.
As in the past, Pakistan is responsible for a terrorist attack on innocent civilians in India. We have exercised the right to defend our people against such actions and have brought the organizers and perpetrators to justice. The Pakistani Prime Minister has spoken about wanting peace with India. If he is indeed sincere, the pathway is clear. Pakistan must immediately shut down all terrorist camps and hand over to us terrorists wanted in India.
Reaffirming India's long-standing position, the Indian envoy stressed that all outstanding issues with Pakistan must be resolved bilaterally, leaving no room for any third party.
Mr. President, India and Pakistan have long agreed that any outstanding issue between them will be addressed bilaterally. There is no room for any third party in that regard. This is our long-standing national position.
And concluding with India's firm message on terrorism, Indian envoy said there must be zero tolerance for terrorism and India will never bow to nuclear threats.
Where terrorism is concerned, we are making it clear that there will be no distinction between the terrorists and their sponsors. Both will be held accountable. Nor will we allow terrorism to be practiced under the cover of a nuclear blackmail. India will never bow to such threats. India's message to the world is clear. There must be zero tolerance for terrorism.
And India's External Affairs Minister, Dr. S. Jaishankar, will address the UN General Assembly today. Earlier, Dr. Jaishankar urged leaders for adherence to international law as he hosted the BRICS foreign ministers in New York on Friday. After the meeting, Dr. Jaishankar, in a social media post, stated that when multilateralism is under stress, BRICS has stood firm as a strong voice of reason and constructive change. He said BRICS must amplify its collective call for a comprehensive reform of the principal organs of United Nations, especially UN Security Council. Dr. Jaishankar also stressed that BRICS must defend the multilateral trading system. Technology and innovation will define the next phase of BRICS cooperation, as India will be taking over the chair of BRICS in 2026. Minister Jaishankar said India's chairship will focus on food and energy security, climate change, sustainable development through digital transformation, startups, innovation, and strengthened development partnerships. And India correspondent Akshay Dongre joins us live with more. Akshay, first take us through the details of how India flagged Pakistan Prime Minister's speech over the issue of terrorism.
Well, it was a systematic, disintegration of all the claims that were made by Shehbaz Sharif at the UNGA. All the false claims from the repeated lie by the Pakistani armed forces about the so-called number of downed fighter jets of the Indian Air Force and hiding the sort of casualties that they have made. So, in a conflict, it's natural to have casualties. There is nothing to gloat over that. That is something that a mature nation wouldn't do. But we are talking about Pakistan, so the case is entirely different in this regard. India and the Undersecretary at the UNGA clearly dismantled all the lies of Pakistan that were being made at one of the most important multilateral forums in the world. At the United Nations General Assembly, Pakistan Prime Minister came, first of all, he tried to whitewash the crimes of not only the Pakistani, terror outfits, but also the armed forces who have been colluding with the terror groups. So it was important for the world to know that it was not just terrorists who were acting against India. It was a well-defined, and well set up machinery that has an equal stake of the Pakistani armed forces. We saw that in the funerals of the terrorists who were killed, Abdul Rauf and other terrorists were part of it, along with the Pakistani generals who had attended the funerals of these terrorists. The TRF, the Resistance Front, that is also an outfit of, associated with a terror outfit in Pakistan, Lashkar-e-Taiba. They claimed responsibility. It cannot get more clearer than this, that they claimed responsibility once the backlash started from even the local Kashmiris and even from across the world. They tried to wash their hands of it, stating that it was sort of a cyber attack, and their servers got hacked, and all sort of orchestration of another lie started from there. And when India acted decisively and destroyed not only the terror infrastructure, but also the infrastructure of Pakistani armed forces that were trying to defend these terror groups. They were dismantled as well. They were destroyed by the Indian attacks, and all of that has first of all been lied to the Pakistani public, and then to the world by the well-orchestrated lies that have been told again and again by the Pakistani armed forces as well as the government.
And if you look at the address of the envoy, Akshay, India reiterates at the UN its red lines again against terrorism, no distinction between terrorists and their sponsors.
Well, there have never been distinctions between terrorists and their enablers, their sponsors, because without this kind of money and fund that is coming in, these terror groups cannot work in silos. The entire FATF and the grey lists and blacklist that they make is to stop the funding of the terror groups, because without funding, a terror outfit cannot function. So it's not just the ground workers that are terrorists, but those who are funding them are also equal killing of the innocent people. We have seen this in the past. After 9/11, we saw how the U.S. armed forces. They captured countries, they captured countries they claimed that were supporting terror outfits and were supporting these terror groups who were planning attacks on US soil. Lines have always been clear that, there are not going to be any differentiation between the enablers and the ground workers. They are just ground workers. We cannot just call the people who are carrying guns as terrorists, but the ones who are funding them, ones who are supporting them, protecting them, they are equally terrorists in that sense. So that is one thing that had to be reiterated. The world knows it, but when it comes to many of the Western nations, when there are attacks, the people promptly call them terror attacks. But when it is in the countries of the global south, we have seen that, especially from the West, the attitude has been entirely different. And that is something that had to be spoken out loud once again. That was done by India at the UNGA.
A lot of parallel activities at the UN. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar makes a case for multilateralism and BRICS ahead of his speech at the UN.
Well, yes, that was a meeting hosted by the foreign minister for the BRICS foreign ministers. So in that meeting, this point was, reiterated by India that we should talk about multilateralism. It should just not become an isolated bloc. We should talk about engaging with different partners. We should, act as an economic bloc to further the development in the countries and engage with other partners as well. So that was a point that had to be highlighted. Also, in the recent events with the kind of geopolitical churn that is happening, once again we are seeing a sort of a neo-Cold War breaking out, and among the biggest countries and the most important nations economically, India is perhaps the only one that is not joining any bloc, or that is again, like it did during the non-aligned movement, and it did in the last 10 years in major conflicts. India is once again reiterating multilateralism, dialogue and diplomacy for furthering the development agenda for the global south.
Looking in its entirety, what would be India's priorities at the 80th session of the UNGA?
Well, our priorities are quite clear, Shubhendu. It's development. It's peaceful environment for development to happen, and that can only happen once terrorism seeks. Terrorism is wiped out. There is peace. There's prosperity. There is freedom of movement. There is no fear among the people from these terror outfits and the countries that enable it. The countries that are enabling these kind of terror attacks. Once they realize that they do not have the capabilities to engage with the adversary militarily, these kind of tactics are used. They're simply blackmail tactics. Have to be called out. That is being done by India. But besides, terrorism, we also have these conflicts that are going around the world that is threatening the food supply to the global South nations. That is threatening the development of these countries, especially the Russia-Ukraine conflict and the conflict that's taking place in the West Asian region. It has devastated countries, killed thousands. And once again, creating a rift among nations and creating these sort of pools of blocks that are forming now. That is perhaps one of the biggest threat to the world peace at this point. Back to you.
Akshay, thank you for joining us with those updates and insights. And Dr. Jaishankar also attended India, Brazil and South Africa ministers' meeting in New York on Friday. In a social media post, Indian External Affairs Minister stated, and I quote, IBSA made a strong call for the transformative reform of the UNSC. Discussions also on IBSA Academic Forum, Maritime Exercise, Trust Fund, intra-IBSA trade, unquote. He further said IBSA will continue to meet frequently in future as well. An External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar co-chaired the India-CELAC Foreign Ministers meeting alongside Foreign Ministers Rosa Yolanda Villavicencio of Colombia. In a post on X, he says, delighted to co-chair the India-CELAC Foreign Ministers meeting along with Rosa Yolanda of Colombia in New York. We agreed to strengthen our existing broad-based cooperation in fields such as agriculture, trade, health, digital, HADR, and capacity building. also to explore emerging areas such as AI technology, critical minerals, space and renewables. India and CELAC also concur on the urgent need to reform multilateral institutions to better represent the voice of the Global South, he said. On the sidelines of the India-CELAC foreign ministers meet, Minister Jaishankar had a warm conversation with FM Rosa Yolanda Villavicencio of Colombia. Minister Jaishankar also interacted with FM Toy Oana of Romania on the sidelines of UNGA. Minister Jaishankar met with FM Timothy Musa Kaba of Sierra Leone. In a post on X, External Affairs Minister Jaishankar said he met with DPM and FM Abzayad of UAE. Both leaders exchanged perspectives on bilateral cooperation as they prepare for the Joint Commission. Palestine Ambassador to India Abdullah Abu Sawesh praised Indian government led by Prime Minister Modi and India's Foreign Ministry for helping the Palestinian people. Abu Sawesh said, PM Modi is doing a great job and we won't interfere in India's bilateral relations with any other country.
India, under the chairmanship of the current Prime Minister, His Excellency Narendra Modi, is doing also great job to the Palestinian people. India is building right now more than one project. One of them is $1 million project, which is a hospital. India, under the chairmanship of the current Prime Minister, is also supporting the UNRWA. We are fully satisfied, and if there is something that we feel we want to discuss it with the Indian government, I can assure you all, the Indian Ministry of Foreign Affairs is 24-hour open to us as Palestinians, and we used to discuss with a full transparency with Indian government all the matters, the related matter between Palestine and India.
Still to come on DD India News Hour. Guinea Supreme Court confirms vote to change the constitution. 200 species of flowers bloom across the driest desert in Chile. And it's World Tourism Day today.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh. United Nations sanctions on Iran are set to be reimposed on Saturday after Russian and Chinese Security Council resolution to delay them failed. The Russian and Chinese push to delay the return of sanctions on Iran failed at the 15-member UN Security Council after only 4 countries supported their draft resolution. All UN sanctions on Iran are due to return after European powers known as the E3 triggered a 30-day process accusing Tehran of violating a 2015 deal meant to prevent it from developing a nuclear weapon. Iran denies seeking nuclear weapons. Diplomats had said the resolution to delay sanctions for 6 months had been unlikely to pass after last-ditch talks between Iran, Britain, France and Germany failed to break a deadlock. 9 countries voted no, while 2 abstained. The sanctions would restore an arms embargo, a ban on uranium enrichment and reprocessing, a ban on activities with ballistic missiles capable of delivering nuclear weapons, a global asset freeze and travel bans on Iranian individuals and entities, and will also hit its energy sector. On the sidelines of the UN General Assembly, Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian criticized Washington for lacking sincerity in nuclear talks, including negotiations held before Israel's attack. Meanwhile, Iran Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi confirmed that a deal had been reached with the agency, but he dismissed the sanctions process as legally void, vowing Tehran would never bow to pressure while still leaving space for dialogue.
Iran will never bow to pressure. We respond only to respect. The choice is clear: escalation or diplomacy. The responsibility lies with those who broke their commitments and undermined international law. The Security Council just voted on a draft by China and Russia to give diplomacy another chance. Under US pressure, unfortunately, the Council refused. Iran's position on snapback is clear. It is illegal, void, and has no standing. The E3, having breached the deal, cannot claim significant non-performance. Resolution 2231 restrictions will expire permanently on 18 October 2025. Any attempt to revive or extend them is null and void.
Bangladesh's chief advisor Dr. Muhammad Yunus has urged the international community to step up efforts for a permanent solution to the Rohingya crisis alongside enhanced financial assistance from global donors. Addressing the 80th session of the UN General Assembly in New York on Friday, Dr. Yunus reminded world leaders that Bangladesh has been sheltering over 1 million Rohingya refugees for years, despite immense socio-economic and environmental strain. Highlighting a looming humanitarian crisis, Dr. Yunus warned that donor fatigue and declining funds are endangering food, healthcare and education. He cautioned that further cuts would intensify protection and security risks, extending beyond the camps themselves, reaffirming Bangladesh's commitment to work closely with the UN and global partners. Chief Advisor appealed for continued international solidarity until a durable settlement is achieved. In Bangladesh, ethnic minority community of Chittagong Hill Tracts held a massive protest rally on Friday in Khagrachari against the gang rape of a teenage girl. The demonstrators, led by student organizations, demanded immediate arrest of the accused and justice for the victim. The rally, organized under the banner of Juma Chhatra Janata, began from the college ground and marched through the city before returning to Chengi Square. Thousands of students, residents from ethnic minority community joined the demonstrations. Speakers at the rally criticized police inaction, noting that even 3 days after the incident, the two accused remain at large. In other news, Guinea's Supreme Court on Friday confirmed the result of a referendum to approve a new constitution in the junta-ruled country. The final tallies, over 89% in favor and over 10% against, confirmed the provisional vote results announced on Tuesday evening. Opposition parties had called on voters to boycott the last Sunday's referendum, accusing General Mamadi Doumbouya of using it to stay in power. Earlier on Friday, they had filed a request to the court to annul the result. The request was rejected. The court's confirmation paves the way for elections to be held in December. The sign suggests that Doumbouya will run for the presidency, despite an earlier promise that he would not. Moldova will hold a parliamentary election on Sunday that could have sweeping consequences for its bid to join the European Union. On Friday, election officials in Moldova barred a pro-Russian party from standing in Sunday's parliamentary election, a move that threatens to raise tensions ahead of high-stakes vote. The decision by the Central Election Committee to exclude Heart of Moldova, part of the pro-Russian patriotic bloc, followed a court ruling limiting the party's activity for a year. Sunday's poll could have sweeping consequences for Moldova, whose pro-European government has warned of extensive Russian-backed efforts to sway the vote and derail since now's bid to join the European Union. President Donald Trump thanked the FBI's Kash Patel on Friday for his role in securing the indictment of former FBI Director James Comey. Comey, who was indicted on Thursday on charges of false statements and obstruction of congressional proceedings, would lead the FBI's 2016 investigation into potential ties between Donald Trump's campaign and Russian officials, has denied all charges. Legal analysts say the indictment could reignite debates over the FBI's handling of politically sensitive investigations and further polarize public opinion around both Trump and Comey. Comey had professed his innocence and vowed to fight the case in court. The US Supreme Court allowed the Trump administration on Friday to freeze, for now, more than $4 billion in foreign assistance appropriated by the Congress. The conservative-dominated court said the upholding President's authority to conduct foreign affairs appears to outweigh the potential harm faced by the intended recipients of the aid money. The court said its emergency order was not a final determination on the merits of the case, but it allows for a temporary freeze on disbursement of funds while the case continues in lower court. President Trump, since taking office in January, has sought to exert greater control over federal spending. The Liberal justices said that effect of the decision is to allow the executive to cease obligating $4 billion in funds that Congress appropriated for foreign aid and that will now never reach its intended recipients. The United States will revoke Colombian President Gustavo Petro's visa because he urged US soldiers to disobey orders and incite violence in New York on Friday. In a speech to the global gathering on Tuesday, Petro also hit out at Donald Trump, saying the US leader was complicit in genocide in Gaza and called for criminal proceedings over US missile attacks on suspected drug-running boats in Caribbean waters. Petro's social media profile on Friday showed he had reposted several video clips of himself speaking at a gathering of pro-Palestinian protesters in New York. The Colombian leader, a vocal opponent of Israel's conflict in Gaza, has suspended exports of coal to Israel. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un has ordered all available resources of the region to be directed towards strengthening the country's nuclear program to sharpen the nuclear shield and sword and defend its sovereignty and security. Kim met his senior officials and scientists of Nuclear Weapons Research Institute and described it as the country's essential top priority to further advance its nuclear response posture. North Korea has pursued nuclear weapons for decades, including clandestine uranium enrichment, enabling production of up to 20 warheads each year. World Tourism Day 2025 is being celebrated today under the theme Tourism and Sustainable Transformation. Tourism is a powerful driver of transformation. The day also highlights tourism's vital role in fostering understanding between cultures and promoting global harmony. DD India's Taposh Bhattacharya gets us more.
Tourism is more than just travel. It is a force for economic growth, a bridge between cultures, and a catalyst for social progress. Beyond boosting economies, tourism creates jobs, empowers communities, and opens doors to education and new opportunities. To truly harness its potential, tourism must be deliberate, inclusive, and rooted in sustainability, resilience, and social equity. This year, World Tourism Day 2025, celebrated under the theme Tourism and Sustainable Transformation, shines a spotlight on this vision. It reminds us that sustainable tourism is not just about destinations, it's about people, peace, and progress. The evidence is clear. Countries with open and sustainable tourism sectors tend to be more peaceful. And in 2024 alone, tourism contributed 10% of global GDP, supporting 1 in every 10 jobs worldwide. Tourism has the path to transform. With sustainability at its heart, it can be the path to a more equitable, resilient, and united world.
Tourism is more than travel. It's a path to understanding, connection, and lasting peace. Celebrate World Tourism Day and join the movement towards a more peaceful and sustainable future. With Campus of Vinod, this is Taposh Bhattacharya for GD India from Delhi.
The Atacama Desert in Chile, known as the driest desert in the world, experiences a rare natural phenomena known as the flowering desert every southern hemisphere spring. When winter rains have been sufficient, over 200 species of flowers bloom across the region, bringing vibrant color to the normally barren landscape. Still to come on DD India News Hour. Prime Minister Modi to launch multiple development projects in Odisha. We'll talk about how India is turning sports into a national mission. And today is the 6th day of Sharad Navratri. You're watching DT India News Hour. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh. Our top stories. India slams Pakistan Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif at the UNGA for glorifying terrorism. Reiterates India will make no distinction between terrorists and the sponsors. India's External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar calls for adherence to international law at BRICS foreign ministers meet in New York to address UN General Assembly today. UN sanctions on Iran loom after UN Security Council rejects last-ditch effort to delay a reimposition of sanctions over its nuclear program. In sports, World Parathletics Championship kicks off in New Delhi on Saturday. Sumit Antil, Preeti Pal set to lead India's challenge. Prime Minister Modi will lay the foundation stone and inaugurate multiple development projects in Odisha today. These projects span across telecommunications, railways, higher education, healthcare, skill development, rural housing sectors, among others. In a major boost to national communication infrastructure, Prime Minister to commission over 97,500 mobile 4G towers built with indigenous technology. These towers will connect around over 26,000 unconnected villages in remote border, the left-wing extremism affected areas, serving over 20 lakh new subscribers. Prime Minister will also lay the foundation and dedicate to the nation important railway projects that will boost connectivity and regional growth. Prime Minister Modi will also lay the foundation stone for the expansion of 8 IITs, which will create capacity for 10,000 new students over the next 4 years. Prime Minister will also launch multiple initiatives of Odisha government to strengthen technical education and skill development. And India is scripting sporting revolution under Prime Minister Modi. From record budgets and landmark reforms to historic medal halls, the nation is on its way to becoming a true multi-sport powerhouse. Here's how.
My own experience, I've been introduced to the TOP scheme, which is also a very, very important scheme taken by the government, and I've always felt really supported by them.
Each athlete, they are really happy because PM is really taking interest in their career and their well-being and their performance also. So that difference is visible.
I'm proud to say that I'm an Indian who represents the country with pride, and thanks to our leadership in our country, under the dynamic leadership of Modi ji, we are definitely moving in the right direction.
India is leaving no stone unturned to boost sports and encourage the sportsperson to bring laurels for the nation. Under the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, achieving excellence in sports has become a national mission. The number stands as a testament to government's sincere efforts. Budget push for sports. The Sports Ministry's annual budget has grown from 466 crore rupees in 2004-05 to a record 3,794 crore rupees in 2025-26. Flagship initiatives. Khelo India scheme. It promotes both mass participation and excellence. It includes annual events like the Khelo India Youth Games, Khelo India University Games, Khelo India Para Games and Khelo India Winter Games. Target Olympic Podium scheme provides financial and training support to elite athletes. Fit India Movement 2019 promotes active lifestyles and healthy habits across the nation. Record performances. The results are there for all to see. India's medal tally jumped from 2 in Rio 2016 to 7 in Tokyo 2020 and 6 in Paris 2024. At the Asian Games, India created history with 107 medals at Hangzhou 2023. From Neeraj Chopra's golden arm to double gold in Chess Olympiad 2024 and the Thomas Cup victory in badminton, India is becoming a multi-sport nation. Major sports reforms in 2025. Sports Governance Bill passed in both houses of Parliament to ensure transparency, accountability and professionalism in sports administration. National Sports Policy 2025 approved by Union Cabinet to reshape India's sporting landscape and empower citizens through sport. Global engagements and diplomacy. India has also positioned itself as a hub for global sports diplomacy, hosting the IOC session in Mumbai 2023, the Chess Olympiad in Chennai 2022, MotoGP Bharat 2023 and the FIFA Under-17 Women's World Cup in Bhubaneswar 2022. Future aspirations. India is bidding for the 2030 Commonwealth Games and aims to host the Olympics in 2036. Emotional connect. But beyond policy and numbers, athletes say what matters most is the Prime Minister's personal touch, his meetings, his words of encouragement, and his recognition of their achievements have made him a true mentor of Indian sport. From being a cricket-obsessed country, India is now on its way to becoming a global sporting powerhouse.
Let's take a look now at other stories making news today. India added 2 new Ramsar sites in Bihar's Buxar and West Champaran district. The increase brings the country's total to 93 Ramsar sites covering over 1.36 million hectares. The move highlights India's ongoing commitment to wetland conservation for biodiversity, climate resilience and sustainable livelihood. NCC cadets of Jammu and Kashmir Air Squadron organized a mega cleanliness drive in Jammu and Kashmir's Udhampur on Friday. The drive was part of the NCC's annual calendar of community outreach programs aligned with the Government of India's Swachh Bharat mission to build a cleaner and healthier nation. The large-scale initiative saw active participation from Air Wing NCC cadets and associate NCC officers. A mild earthquake of magnitude 3.4 was recorded in Haryana on Tuesday morning. According to preliminary data, the quake occurred at the depth of about 10 kilometers. No reports of damage or casualties have been reported. Miss World 2025 Opal Shishata from Thailand, along with the representatives like Krishna Marie Davides from Philippines, joined global delegates in southern Indian city of Hyderabad to raise awareness on breast cancer. Through initiatives such as Pink Pa Run and community dinner with visually impaired and HIV-affected children, the event highlighted early detection, prevention and global solidarity against the disease. Today is the 6th day of Sharad Navratri. Devotees across the country are worshipping Ma Katyayani, known as the goddess of courage and victory. Temples and pandals across the nation are decorated and cultural programs are also being organized as part of festivities. In Kolkata, depicts a pandal theme, Hirak Rani, a fictional narrative to comment on contemporary socio-political issues and urge public reflection. Kolkata's Kendua Shanti Sangh is celebrating its 53rd anniversary. The theme is Mystical Endless Journey to the Goddess in an eco-friendly setting. Shiliguri is capturing the festive spirit with the local puja choosing a natural theme to emphasize the environmental consciousness. Guwahati's Durga Puja celebrations beautifully decorated a pandal with unique theme based on a Buddhist temple from Bangkok. In Jharkhand, Ranchi, Chief Minister Hemant Soren inaugurated a Durga Puja pandal at Ratu Road in the capital city. A unique Durga Puja in Takatpur themed around the traditional Mayurbhanj Adivasi culture The event, organized by Takatpur Durga Puja Committee, is in its 27th year, aims to showcase a theme never seen before in Odisha. Artisans from West Bengal's Midnapur have been working for 2 months to create the setup, despite challenges posed by rain. And Prime Minister Modi on Saturday extended his greetings on the occasion of Navratri. In a post, he says, "On this Navratri, we bow our heads in reverence to Devi Ma. May her grace instill confidence in everyone's life. May all devotees receive Mother's blessings. This is our prayer." Still to come on DD India News Hour. US President Trump unveils sweeping new tariffs, including 100% on patented drugs. India edge out Sri Lanka in dramatic super finish at the Asia Cup to face Pakistan in summit clash. And we bring you the melody of folk song festival in Libya.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh. US stocks ended higher on Friday after mostly inline US inflation data. The Commerce Department's Personal Consumption Expenditure Index showed the report for August inflation behaving as expected, while personal income and consumer spending surprised to upside. Prices rose by 2.7% year over year, hitting the consensus estimate. S&P 500 and Nasdaq snapped 3-week streaks of weekly gains, whereas Dow Jones Industrial Average rose 0.65%, S&P 500 gained 0.59%, and Nasdaq Composite jumped 0.44%. Despite Friday's gains, all three major indices posted weekly losses. US President Trump unveiled sweeping new import tariffs, including 100% duties on patented drugs starting next week. The latest salvo follows wide-ranging duties on trading partners of up to 50% and other targeted levies on imported products such as steel and autos. Trump's announcement of the steep duties that go into effect on October 1st shattered a relative lull in his tariff assault on global trading partners. In the new duties included 25% levies on heavy-duty trucks, 50% tariffs on imported kitchen cabinets, bathroom vanities, as well as 30% levy on upholstered furniture, raising costs for a core consumer sector. The barrage has cast a pall over global growth, while Federal Reserve has said it is also contributing to higher US consumer prices. You're watching DD India News Hour. Time now for sports. Two-time Paralympic javelin throw champion Sumit Antil and sprinter Preeti Pal are set to lead India's challenge at the World Parathletics Championship starting in New Delhi. Apart from Sumit Antil and Preeti Pal, Praveen Kumar, Dharambir Nayan and Navdeep will also carry the medal hopes for the host nation. India has sent 73-member contingent for the tournament. World champion and world record holder Wen Xiaoya of China will defend her title in the first medal event. In men's 5,000-meter T11 event, the top three of the last Paralympic Games, Brazil's Julio Cesar Agrippino, Yelskin's Jacques and Kenya Karasawa of Japan will begin their campaigns on the opening day. Over 1,000 athletes are set to compete in 186 medal events. At the 2024 edition in Kobe, China was the most successful country with 87 medals, while India finished 6th after bagging 17 medals. And DD India's Narayan Singh joins us live from Delhi. Narayan, take us through the key contest at this edition of the World Parathletics Championships.
Shubhendu, if you take a look, it's a mega event. First time India is hosting such a big para sports event, and we know that more than 1,000 athletes across the world are participating in this edition from 104 nations. And talking about the disciplines, we know that 186 medals will be on offer in this edition of the World Parathletics Championship. And talking about the previous edition, comparing with the previous edition that happened in Japan, Kobe, 15 more medal events are there. It shows the magnitude of this event and the biggest ever World Para-Athletic event. And talking about as the tournament will progress, we will see the India's top-notch athletes will participate in it. We know that Sumit Antil, the world champion in the javelin throw in the Para Games, if you take a look his record, he won the gold medal first at the Tokyo Paralympics, then repeated that feat at the Paris Paralympics, and he became first Indian to defend a Paralympic gold medal, that is in track and field. And we know that not only Sumit Antil, but if we take a look, other athletes too, Jivanji, she is in action in today, and Preeti Pal will be in action. And if we talk about other athletes, especially Navdeep, we know that what kind of sensation he was during this Paralympic gold medal streak in Tokyo. So all in all, we can say that a bunch of fantastic Indian players, 73 Indian players are participating in it, and we are hoping that they will break the record of the previous edition too. And Paralympics is a para sports discipline in India where it is getting equal footing that of the able-bodied athletes. They are getting equal cash reward, equal recognition. And if you take a look, whenever they are winning the medals, they are going for the mega event. PM meets them and tweets for them. So everything is on equal terms for our para athletes. So a big encouragement is there for our para athletes. And talking about the way our para-athletes perform, in Paralympics, if you take a look, in the London, it was 1 medal. And after that, in Rio, it was 4 medal Indian athletes won. And in the next edition, that was in Tokyo, Indian para-athletes won 19 medal. And the previous edition, that was a Paris Paralympics, where Indian athletes won 29 medals. It shows that the decent improvement in the Indian Paralympics and para-athlete movement. And talking about the infrastructure, a world-class infrastructure has been laid out at the Jawaharlal Nehru Stadium. The Mondo track, it is one of the best tracks that is used in the top-notch competition all over the world. And on the National Sports Day on the 29th August, our sports minister just inaugurated the Mondo track. And there are only 24 Mondo tracks all over the world. There is a blue shade of the Mondo track here laid out in JLN Stadium. Not only this, for the warming and the training session too, outside the premises of the JLN Stadium, a practice and warm-up Mondo track is laid. We can say the advanced gym is there for their training, for not only for Indian athletes, for the international athletes will too practice during the evening time whenever they are preparing for the competition. All in all, we can say that start of a new dawn in the Indian sports. If talk about the hosting, we know continuously India is hosting the mega events. This is the start of it. We will see soon India will bid for the Commonwealth Games and also planning to host the world's most biggest show, that is Olympics for the 2036. Before that, they will also try to get the hosting right of the Youth Olympics. All in all, we can say that it's a big thing for the Indian sports.
Sporting extravaganza kickstarts in New Delhi. Narayan, thank you. In cricket, India will face arch rivals Pakistan in Super Sunday final of Asia Cup, Dubai. Earlier defending champions India survived Pathum Nissanka's blistering 100 and some intense super over drama before beating Sri Lanka in a dead rubber match to maintain their unbeaten run in the Asia Cup on Friday. Sri Lanka gave a good account of themselves and matched India's 202 runs for the loss of 5 wickets to force the super over after Nissanka smashed the first individual 100 of this year's tournament. However, Sri Lanka managed only 2 runs in the super over before losing both the wickets in 5 deliveries from Arshdeep Singh. India skipper Surya Kumar Yadav took 3 runs from the first delivery to seal the victory. India have already secured their place in Sunday's final against Pakistan. And DD India correspondent Mukesh Shukla joins us live from Dubai. Mukesh, so the stage is set for the big match, India versus Pakistan in the finals.
Right, Subhendu, the stage is set. Every eyes on India-Pakistan on 28th Sunday match. The both team, they will face each other third time in this tournament, and India is looking for the hat-trick, where Pakistan trying to bounce back, and they are hoping they can lift the trophy. But how it can be possible? It's the playing 11, how they select the playing 11 from each side. So it is important, Shubhendu. But India, throughout the journey, if you see in the group stage, Super 4 matches, they played well. Some mistakes happens, like in the fielding area, we saw some catch drops. In the yesterday match, we also saw some lack of confidence in the batting order, like Surya Kumar Yadav again failed to make a run in this tournament. So he is having a pressure to perform in this tournament. But the one match also here in this final stage, maybe Surya Kumar Yadav take the glimpses in this match, and he can score when the team required his inning. And the other side, if you see Abhishek Sharma, Shubman Gill, they are playing well. And Abhishek Sharma, everyone in Dubai and across the country, they are celebrating his inning, how he is playing flawless batting. If you see 24-year guy, he is playing undoubtedly in front of any bowler. Shaheen Shah Afridi, he was saying he was a brilliant bowler, but he smashed throughout the tournament. Shaheen Shah Afridi, again they are facing each other. What Shaheen Shah Afridi make plans against Abhishek Sharma, because in the first ball he start hitting Shaheen Shah Afridi and other bowlers also. So if they want to win this match, Pakistan, they have make a good and strong plan. But the other side, Gambhir knows how to tackle the situation against Pakistan, because as a coach and as a former player, he has experience against Pakistan. When the crucial time will come, Pakistan somewhere in the middle, you just see their confidence maybe get down. In the bowling side, if you see, in the fielding side, if you see, their players, some player have performed in this tournament, but not like they perform continuously. Fakhar Zama played, Farhan played, Haris Rauf also played, but they are in the debate also, because yesterday ICC fined Haris Rauf 30% and Farhan, they won him. So it's also has a concern of a Pakistan team, because they if they play in this tournament, they have to concentrate other parts of the field side also. They have to look how it's going on the other thing. Their fans are expecting they will bounce back, but I don't think so it will happen, because India is strongly pursuing in this Asia Cup, unbeaten till the last match, and the final match after 41 years they are facing each other, and the expectations are high from the Indian side. They can lift this trophy and unbeaten in this tournament.
Mukesh, thank you for joining us with those updates. Viksit Bharat Run, a public outreach to celebrate India's journey to become a developed nation, was held in Kuwait, Switzerland, Maldives and several other locations. The run was organized in Salmiya city of Kuwait. The event saw enthusiastic participation from the Indian diaspora as well as Friends of India in Kuwait. The short marathon symbolized India's run towards the goal of Viksit Bharat, or developed India. The run was flagged off in Malé, capital city of Maldives. It united over 300 runners from Indian and Maldivian communities in a vibrant celebration of fitness, friendship and shared aspirations for a better future. The High Commission of India in Port Moresby, which is capital of Papua New Guinea, organized the run at the scenic Ella Beach with enthusiastic participation, which saw a vibrant display of unity, service and solidarity. In Zurich, Switzerland, diaspora members across age groups joined the run, celebrating fitness and India's vision for a developed future. Despite inclement weather, the diaspora turned out in good numbers to support the initiative. Indian shooter Jonathan Gavin Anthony struck gold in the men's 10-meter air pistol event at the Shooting Junior World Cup in New Delhi. 16-year-old Indian shooter finished with a score of 244.8 to win by a commanding margin of 8.5 points. Italy's Luca Arrighi claimed silver, while Spain's Lucas Tom took the bronze. In junior women's 10-meter air pistol shooting final, India's Rashmika Sahgal battled hard but settled for silver medal in the final behind Evlina Shiena, while Iran's Fatima Shakari secured the bronze. New Delhi event, which concludes on October 2nd, features 208 shooters from 19 federations. Harry Kane scored twice to reach 100 goals for Bayern Munich as the German champions continued their perfect start to the Bundesliga season with a 4-0 win over Werder Bremen. Kane became the fastest man to net 100 goals in his 104th game from Bayern, breaking Cristiano Ronaldo and Erling Haaland joint record of reaching the milestone in their 105th match. Bayern celebrated in style as a brace from Kane and goals from Jonathan Tah and Konrad Laimer saw them claim their 5th win in 5 league games. The England striker averages 2 goals a game in current Bundesliga campaign. Former Tottenham striker has 15 goals in 8 games across all competitions so far this season. Libya held the first edition of its folk song festival at the historic amphitheatre in Leptis Magna. Artists from across Libya gathered at the ancient Roman site located about 100 kilometers east of Tripoli to celebrate traditional music and cultural unity. Artists called the festival a meeting place between the north, west and south. Stunning backdrop, and that's all in this edition of DD India News Hour. Let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS. Scan the QR code and download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India News Hour. Namaskar.